What's up, everybody? This is Alex with WMD back at you again. This time we're going to be talking about AXYS. AXYS is a dual stereo crossfader module that is basically two stereo crossfaders in one. So you have two stereo inputs, one for each side of the knob, and then a stereo output. There's two sets of those. And you can also use CV. What we're going to be doing in this video is a little technique I like to call the loop and swap. It's a good transition piece just to get from one place to another. You can get real crazy with the drops. We're just going to go real basic and just kind of prove the concept a little bit. I've been asked a few times if you can do this with AXYS, and my answer is basically you're going to have to figure it out with what kind of rig you have. A loop pedal, a sampler, or a computer is definitely going to be the best thing for this. And latency and stuff like that is just something you're going to have to experience with. With Bitwig, I got it down quite a bit, but you know, there still is just a little bit of audio latency. So I'm just working around it, and I'm going to show you how we do it. So for this rig, I'm using the Expert Sleepers ES8 module, which is an audio interface that can also be used to send CVs straight out of it. Super awesome module, and that's been very helpful for this trick. So what we're using is we're using Bitwig as our master clock. We're sending gate and reset, or clock and reset info from the ES8 into my audio damage sequencer 1 as well as my Metron. One trick about that is to always molt your clock source. Don't try and daisy chain multiple pieces of gear. Always use the same clock source and molt from there. That way you're not just dealing with multiple layers of latency or any sort of weird reset stuff. You've got it all coming from the same source. That's a really good tip and just a thing that it seems common sense, but a lot of times you're going to try and daisy chain stuff and it just doesn't work so well. So the best thing to do is just molt your clock from the source. So that's what we're doing here. I got a splitter going out into Metron as well as sequencer 1, and then I've got a splitter coming out of my stereo insert on a performance mixer. So it's the stereo send and return, the master send and return. I'm splitting and I'm taking one signal straight into AXYS, and that's our dry signal. So that's the left side of the knob, and then I'm taking this other side and I'm going through over to the ES8. That's going through the computer into this channel, which is record enabled, and then back out of the ES8 out of channels 1 and 2 into the other side of AXYS. So on one side of AXYS, I've got the modular setup, which is just it by itself, and then on the other side, I've just literally got whatever the computer is going to play. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop the master bus from the modular on the computer, switch over to that, and then just go through and make something new and then switch back. So let's try it. All right, so let's start up the beat. Here we go. Let's get this guy going. So this is my beat, right? And I can change stuff over here. There's my kick drum. Here's my clap. So this is our groove. This is what we're working with, and we're going to want to transition away from this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to record a scene here, or a clip here. Just going to let that go. Try it again, and now we've got this loop stored over here. Keep in mind we're still just monitoring the modular side, right? So I can take the kick drum out, we're still just playing over here. But now I've got this looped over here, so whenever I want, I can switch over, and I'm going to do that quickly. So now we're just listening to the loop. You see over here in the mixer, I can do whatever I want, nothing's happening. So I say for this drop, what we're going to do is we're just going to use this loop function, and let's go into a whole new sequence just with the kick drum. So I've muted all my other tracks, and I'm going to change the pitch of my kick drum, the sound of it a little bit. And now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to change up my sequence. I'm going to make it a little bit more minimal here. Let's make it super dissonant by going like, get some half steps in there. Alright, so now we're ready to go over to it. We can kind of just switch over like a DJ would. So we're just going to pull this over real slow. And now we're just hearing the modular again, and we can bring in the next part. Alright, so let's try this one more time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that thing we were listening to earlier, and we're just going to record it real quick. And now we can switch over there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change sources. So I'm going to mute the sounds we were hearing earlier, and I'm going to bring up a whole new thing on Metron, and I'm going to change up the beat too. So then we'll go over here and we'll add a new line here. Let's do it more like this. Alright, so again, all we're hearing now is this guy. I'm going to go over and I'm going to change up the pitch of my hi-hat. Changing up the sound sources that you're using and making them sound a little bit different will help if you run into any phasing issues. And also just makes it sound like a new song, right? So this is kind of a DJ transition. So at the end of an idea, we're just going to transition into the new one, the next one. So here we go. And now again, we can go over here to Metron and change it up a little bit, you know, with our variations. But this just gives us another way to kind of cue some stuff up. So now I'm going to record that guy because I like that. And now we'll go over here. And one thing we can do is while we're in this loop is obviously we can affect stuff. So I'm going to go over to the master here. And I've got this EQ, so I'm just going to turn that on. That's kind of like a high pass. So now I'm going to go over here and switch over my kick drum pattern, maybe switch up my kick drum sound a little bit, and I'm going to change up our rhythm again for the architect line. And now I'm just going to switch from this guy over here to this guy. So as you can see, a super useful technique. Obviously takes some practice, and you know, I had some little bit of phasing at the end, which, you know, that's actually kind of sounded cool. But you know, that's just stuff you're gonna have to figure out how to work around. Every system has quirks, and I encourage you just to work with them. I mean, as far as stuff goes, there's so much different gear going in here. You can't expect everything to work perfectly all the time. It's just like you got to figure out how you can do the best with what you got. That said, I love Bitwig, and I think this is a cool way to work. I'm going to do some more videos on the hybrid setup too, but I just really wanted to figure out, you know, a lot of people have been asking, and I wanted to know if it would work too. And this is actually a super cool way to get from one song to the other. But, you know, if that's something you wanted to do, you can do that too. I was pretty stoked just to figure that out. So AXYS is coming out very, very soon. It's in production now, so it should be out in the next couple weeks. And basically what's going on, and basically, yeah, I mean, using it as a stereo DJ style thing is super fun. Whether or not you're one artist or two artists mixing between who's playing at what time, it's a really great way to just get from idea to idea. So that's that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, just hit us up in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.